All right, Shalom Akim. All praises goes to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Quadash. Double honors goes into the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned the truth. And much love and peace and blessings goes out to all the hopeful elect that are out there teaching the word of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, as well as the sincere listeners that is hearkening to the voice of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, through his men, through his prophets. And this is going to be a lesson that is pretty much about Operation Phoenix, right? The Phoenix program. And really just gives you an overview of the wickedness of Esau, because here it is, you got this Edomite by the name of Doug Valentine coming out and exposing how the CIA, pretty much the state with which America is in right now, is due to the many decades before, where the CIA and Esau's military, their covert operations were spying on people, assassinating people, committing war, committing coup d'etats. And now we find ourselves in the same predicament, because it's war against the people. Esau, Edom, he wants to come in with great wrath, because he's been exposed. And you have, like I said, you have this Edomite by the name of Doug Valentine exposing it, which is a scripture in itself, because the scriptures say that he shall make his tongue to fall upon itself. You see what I'm saying? So this is pretty heavy, I had watched this video because I subscribe to this guy's channel, Geopolitics and Empire. It's a very good channel, man. And I recommend any of you brothers out there that's into that whole geopolitical scheme to follow this channel. Subscribe. And I watched this whole thing, and it was spiritual. It's very informative and enlightening on the wickedness that's going on by these devils, man. These Edomite devils. Okay, because you could call them the CIA, you could say America, you could say blah blah blah, but who are they? What's the lowest common denominator? They're Esau, which Esau is the devil. Okay, that's why we use these blanket terms when we talking about these devils. So let's play a bit.
As organized.
Matter of fact, I turn my mic off.
Crime, how illegal operations corrupt America and the world. We'll be discussing how America's surveillance and police state was developed in a way back in Vietnam, and how deep events, perhaps such as 9/11 and now COVID-19, are perhaps accelerating deployment of these national security state systems. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you for having me on your show. I hope I can contribute something.
I think you definitely will. Now, you've written some astounding books, such as The Phoenix Program. It uncovers a shocking CIA rendition, assassination, extermination program of civilians developed and perfected in 1960s and 70s in Vietnam. The development and deployment of these techniques and technologies have continued well beyond Vietnam, onto war zones across the world and onto the streets of America itself. So perhaps to give our listeners a bit of a background, I don't think too many have know about the Phoenix program. And so when I used to teach at university, I would mention it to my students. And so can you give us a brief explanation of, what was the Phoenix program before we look at how it's, being applied today?
Okay, the Phoenix program was created by the CIA in South Vietnam in 1967. And at the time, American forces had been in the country for about 2 years. The American military, Americans had been fighting mostly the North Vietnamese, who were coming down from along what was called the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos and Cambodia, and coming over the Central Highlands and coming into South Vietnam to fight main force wars, battles, tanks and machine guns and soldiers, like in Platoon, the Oliver Stone movie, just combat. But at the same time, the Americans could not win over the South Vietnamese population politically. And they were, the South Vietnamese population was supporting Viet Cong guerrillas who did not have much to do with the North Vietnamese army. These were irregulars, people who had formed their own military units and were waging guerrilla warfare against Americans in South Vietnam. And of course, South Vietnamese politicians and doing all sorts of things that guerrillas do. And so they were supported. The guerrillas were supported by what was by a political apparatus, which the United States referred to as the secret government. The United States was supporting the president of South Vietnam, a military general named Thieu, and at the same and he had representatives spread throughout the country. In the provinces, there were 44 provinces, and they had a province leader in each province that reported back to President Thieu and affected American policies in the provinces. Well, at the same time, this secret government, which supported the Viet Cong insurgency, they also had leaders in every province. And they had leaders, political leaders in every district. But these people were operating undercover because it was, they were secret agents. And they had this clandestine secret apparatus set up throughout the country that was supporting the guerrillas. And the CIA developed the Phoenix program in 1967 to destroy that secret government, that secret apparatus of basically civilians in political positions who were supporting the war effort in South Vietnam. And the principal way, there were a couple of principal ways of doing that, but the part that really becomes transferable to the United States is that the thing they had to do was to identify the members of this secret organization, who are the members of this secret government, and they called them the Viet Cong infrastructure. And so the United States, through the Phoenix program, set up a surveillance system over everything, over every facet of South Vietnamese life. It began with everybody in South Vietnam having to have like an identification card. And then on that identification card was every piece of conceivable information about you and your family. That way they could know if somebody had a reason to travel outside their district or outside their village or outside their province. And as soon as somebody started behaving in a way that, suggested that they might be part of this secret government, then the special branch of the South Vietnamese government, which was like our FBI and which had been created by the CIA, by the way, would start surveilling a person. And they would secretly conduct operations against this person. They would follow them around. They would bug their home, things like that. And until they thought that, well, maybe this is a guy in that apparatus. And then the first thing they tried to do was to recruit him. Okay, which you have to understand here in the United States when I start talking about Phoenix-style operations here in the United States, the most important thing that the government wants to do once it identifies somebody as a dissident or somebody who's involved in Black Lives Matters or even the Proud Boys, any kind of organization that it doesn't feel it has total control over, the first thing they want to do is recruit somebody in that organization. They don't want to disrupt the organization. They want to get somebody inside who can tell them what the plans and strategies of that organization are. Okay. That was not particularly easy for the CIA to do. It was to actually get agents inside this secret government. They were very rarely able to do that. So by and large, what they tried to do was kidnap these people. And this is where, the reputation for Phoenix as a kidnapping and assassination program begins. Because they couldn't actually, these were really hardcore ideological people who were dedicated to fighting the Americans in South Vietnam. So it wasn't easy to turn them into double agents. And the few times that they did turn into double agents, they were generally triple agents who were pretending to, so there was this whole espionage war going on. And most Americans didn't speak Vietnamese, so they couldn't tell whether somebody was, pulling the wool over their eyes or not, including their allies in the South Vietnamese special police and stuff like that. Okay, which is a problem they have around the world. But anyway, if they couldn't get somebody to turn or become an agent for them, then the next thing they would do is kidnap them. And they had special teams that were set up to do that. And they were called counter-terror teams. And they were mercenaries in the employ of the CIA. And very often they would dress like Viet Cong guerrillas. And these were often Viet Cong soldiers or North Vietnamese soldiers or criminals who had been let out of prison and went to work for the CIA. And these people had no connection. They were no connection at all to the insurgency. They were dead set against the insurgency, and by and large, they could be trusted. And these people would go out at night, or arrange other ways to get a person alone when he wasn't, expecting anything. They would kidnap them, and they would put them in an interrogation center. Now, starting in 1965, and this is another important thing to remember in terms of Phoenix coming back to the United States. In 1965 in South Vietnam, 2 years before there was a Phoenix program, the CIA built what was called a province interrogation center in every province in South Vietnam, in all 44 provinces. And these interrogation centers were, again, manned by the special branch of the South Vietnamese police. This was the FBI that the CIA created in South Vietnam, specifically to go after insurgents and people who were, trying to overthrow the government. And they built an interrogation center in every province. And once they kidnapped somebody, they would take them to the interrogation center. If people are interested, and I know you just read the book, I actually interviewed the guy, John Muldoon, who built them. He was a CIA. He was a CIA officer who told me how he went about doing this and why they did it and how these interrogation centers worked. And the CIA staffed them with professional interrogators, and these places became known as torture centers, where people were just worked over and worked over and worked over. And I think my book is the only book that's been written about the Vietnam War that goes into the interrogation centers in any depth, simply because I had this CIA officer, John Muldoon, who I interviewed, tell me all about it. But otherwise, it's one of the CIA's most closely held secrets. Well, these interrogation centers are like laboratories to learn how to interrogate people also. The CIA doesn't just interrogate people. It keeps records on how you do it and what methods work best. And these are all like little laboratories where the CIA is always studying and videotaping and sending reports back to headquarters where, experts look it over and review it. And so the CIA really, in South Vietnam, perfects its interrogation techniques. It perfects building interrogation centers. And these become the model for all the black centers, black sites that the CIA starts building after 9/11 around the world. They're modeled exactly on this. They're built the same way, probably by the same companies, with the design the same way. And the interrogators will know, based on what happened in South Vietnam, the best ways of interrogating people. And one of the most favored means of interrogating people was the waterboarding. It happened everywhere all the time, and people learned that this was there in South Vietnam, that this was a really effective way of doing it. So then, once they had washed a person out in the interrogation centers, they would hand them over to the military, or they would send them to prison, or they just execute them, summarily kill them. And by 1969, the CIA had also helped build an interrogation center in every district in South Vietnam. That's 244 districts. So that interrogation center, that's like down to in every county in the United States. Every state would have an interrogation center in every county where they could send dissidents to be worked over. If they couldn't capture a person, then this is when they would assassinate them. And the same teams that did the kidnapping would do the assassinating. And lots of the assassination occurred during ambushes, waiting along, knowing where somebody was going to be at a particular time and just waiting for them, and then killing him and everybody who was with him. So that, literally, they rarely caught somebody alone. And when they would assassinate somebody, they ended up assassinating everybody around them. So by the end of the war, the CIA said it had assassinated or killed 25,000 people. The South Vietnamese said they had killed around 40,000 people, okay, according to their records. But nobody was counting all the extra people. They were only counting the people that they targeted. And so the number, given the fact that
Con, I'm gonna end it right there. Basically, there's a lot of exposure material this man was going into. I recommend brothers watch the rest of this video when you get a chance, because what the dude does in the rest of the video, he relates of this program of 1967, what they were doing in Vietnam, and how these different techniques were implemented in America, right? To where you have a police state, you have surveillance, you have these different interrogation centers in America that Esau want to torture us, torture all dissidents, or kill you, reprogram you, or recruit you to their side, and all these different things are set to happen. And just know, brothers out there, from the moment you enter to the truth, to the future, through any persecutions, if Esau grab you up, or he threaten you with death, or he is torturing you, beating you up, waterboard you, or give you electric shocks and all these different things, hey, trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Because we believe in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. We believe that even if these things happen to us, we will not give up on our faith. Because we truly believe in our God, our power. We've been doing this work for him all these years and we just have the faith. So due to that level of faith, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai will, have us endure that, to where it won't break us. It will only make us stronger, and only make us have a glorious name. You see what I mean? So basically, it just exposes this devil, man. This devil, he's all in these different countries. He's working mischief. He's been doing it for hundreds of years. This is how Esau has operated even since the time of the Romans and Greeks. Just a mischievous devil. Okay, so this is Revelation chapter 14, verse 8. It says, "And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And the wine represents America's lifestyle, the way of life, the thought patterns, the technology, the structure of this place, philosophies. You see, just like feminism, LGBTQ+, and among other things. You know, but this is why Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to destroy this place. And you have that, and Esau made these nations to drink really through force. Just like you had in Vietnam, it was through force that they was out there causing those people to be Americanized and this and this. And why does he cause these nations to get drunk on his wine? Because that leaves them open for their resources to be taken from them. Because after these countries, after their leadership sells out to the CIA and the United States government, then they make deals with the government, which keeps those oligarchies and those top 10-20% of the people in that country rich, while America gets to exploit its resources and keep their people at the bottom dirt fucking poor and fucked over, man. That's exactly what they do. That's why we say Esau is Satan. He's the devil. All right. So this is Nahum 3 and 5. It says, "Behold, I am against thee." Matter of fact, shoot from verse 4. "Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot." And who's the well-favored harlot? It's America. And remember, it says well-favored because America has been looked at with favor throughout the world for a long period of time. It says, "The mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts." And that's right. The CIA, the FBI, that's all. They involve themselves in witchcraft. They show you on this movie called The Good Shepherd, right? Which is a movie about with Matt Damon, which details the beginnings of the CIA. They do all types of rituals. They bathe in blood and feces and pray to Satan. They meet in the Bohemian Grove. This is all witchcraft that they do, and then they put it into action through these ideas that they get. Oh, well, let's set up these detention centers, because the spiritual demon Satan is helping them to come up with these ideas to be able to pillage these countries. So through Esau's witchcraft, he gets the ideas to move to get the substance, and then he sells people. He basically puts people into slavery. Every United States citizen is a slave. Why? Because you're on a birth certificate. The government owns you. You have a straw man. You know, you have that might not be the proper term, but there's a term that they use to where when your name is in all capital letters is basically like a fake you. It's a you that's controlled by the government. You know, it says, "Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts." Yahweh Shai is against America. It says, "And I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame." And it's being shown as we speak, just like this man, this guy, Doug Valentine, is exposing the actions of the United States. That's the Lord, really. The Lord is working through these different people, and primarily, you know who he's working through first? The prophets, because the prophets have details of information when it comes to, well, I should say the prophets have the proper knowledge when it comes to the Bible to be able to give that, you know, the cherry on the top, so to speak, of Esau being exposed. It says, and now, you know, a lot of people see it. Everybody sees this shit. Like, this video has 1,000 some views. And it's not a surprise to me that there's not that many viewers to this channel, because YouTube could be blacklisting them. You know, but nonetheless, a lot of people know what's going on at this given time. That's how we know we're at the end. Because if you were to tell these people this type of information 30, 40 years ago, they'll never believe you. So verse 6, it says, "And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock." All right, and that's what happens when someone is basically on the walk of shame. That's what's happening to these Edomites, and that's what's happening to their beloved country called America, which is Babylon. All right, this is Micah chapter 2, verse 2. It says, matter of fact, let's read from verse 1. "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. They covet fields and take them by violence, then houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." Just example in Vietnam, how they set up these different, centers to be able to counteract people that were rebelling against the government. That's oppression. Because those people that were rebelling against the government knew that their government was corrupt. These were just civilians that didn't want, because that dude that was the leader of Vietnam, South Vietnam at that time, he was in bed with the CIA, obviously. So they were against that, and they were fighting a war against corruption. But here comes Esau. He's with the corruption. He's the one that brought the corruption. But Esau don't care about that. He'll come in, pillage you, throw you in a detention center, and take everything you have. And that's exactly what the Bible describes. So this is the last verse I'm going to get. Matter of fact, let's read from Psalm chapter 5, verse 4. This is, "For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee." See how Bashim Yahushua is looking at the actions of this man with displeasure. He don't pleasure in the actions of Esau. Even look, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua set up everything. He set up things that please him and don't please him. It is what it is. But nonetheless, that's why Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to ease himself of this displeasure, which he's experiencing. It says, "The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity." To show you that the Most High hates. And didn't the scriptures say that Esau have I hated? So this is talking about Esau. And furthermore, all workers of iniquity, like you Black Lives Matter niggas that's out there protesting in Philly, the Most High hates them type of niggas, man. And beyond that, just getting back to the point, the Most High feels this type of way when you work iniquity on the earth. And Esau has built up a significant tab. That's why the Most High verily hates Esau. Because he's done nothing but iniquity. Worship false gods. Made our people to worship those same false gods. And they got destroyed. It says, Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. See? And that's Esau. He's bloody and deceitful. Just like all them people had to carry an identification card. That's why you got to carry an ID today. Because Esau wants your information so he can keep tabs on you. He can control you. That's what this is all about. Alright, so with that, hopefully you brothers been edified with this video. All praises goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruchak Wadash. Shalom.